Zusammen.
Shri Gaura-lila ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Shri Godrum Dvip ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Pramanam. I keep this one for me. The autograph. Welcome, Maharaj, in the Budrumakanan Kunjavidum. Welcome that we can do some seva together right now. It's sometimes a little, many bhaktas even have some ideas of seva. You know, we do some things. Sometimes when I ask Vaishnavas, so what is the vision for the rest of your life? They said, yeah, the vision is to build an ashram, to build some things and to do that. It's not so often that a person says, I want to sit and cry for the holy name. I want just to be there. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Gita Mala, he says something very important. He says, "O Jiva, O soul, please understand deeply that a helpless cry as seva to Radha and Krishna is more precious than running around thousands of lifetimes in this creation
and doing even some projects which has a stamp for the Lord. But we know in Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami says, "O soul," I think it's important, there's different kinds of bhakti. You know, there is aropsita bhakti, because most souls have not really taste to be absorbed. Gott allein genügt. Just solo Dio basta. So, you know, that's why there is some opportunities in the creation to do some things. Just things we do, normal things like others also do. But, you know, we try to make it as an offering. And it's not bad. It's a step. It's a huge step. But still the invitation goes in another direction towards Svarupsiddha Bhakti. This is a state of absorption, you know, mostly remembering about Radha and Krishna. We just sang, Shrinu, O soul, hear, only hear. Shrinu Gaura-gadadhara charu katam. The very astonishing, ever-fresh kata of Gaura-gadadhara. So it goes towards like Svarupsiddha Bhakti. And the more we can enlarge in that field, you know, the more exciting actually our journey becomes. It's for that we're here. We're not project makers, and we are not influencers. You know, want to that we are remembered at least. You know, this little ashram here when we all die. No, there's only when Rajaguna falls away, there is no more about doing things. And when Sattva-guna falls away, it's not even to be in harmony with this external world and the joy from that. But then it's the harmony with Thakurji's innermost desire to have us completely there. So I'm thankful that we have some time now together. You know, it's exciting to enter into relationship, the main relationship. And we know it's every jiva, jivera svarupahai, Krishna-nita. The soul has by svarup, has a calling to be a servant. But this is we would call it sadharan sambandha. It's like the external sambandha, which is fine, it's wonderful. But, oh soul, we are called to become a little more specific in that, to become a little more maybe theocentric, towards their world. We are like egocentric, but theocentric means towards their world. So then something is awakening, which is so precious. It's called Vishesh Sambandha. What is our specific relationship? And I'm fascinated. When Maharaj and me met a few years ago, first time, we heard about each other and we met at the airport in Zurich. And already Gaura-gadadhara came up.
Vishesh Sambandha came quickly.
You know, I was astonished. How is it possible that some fascination for Gaura-gadadhara
Comes from a guy from Argentina. That's a grace. It reached down till there.
No, but it's, I don't know. This is very wonderful. And that we have some time together. I know sometimes it's challenging because in one way it's unpractical on certain level. If you would have a course how to cut wood, and we will make a course now to how to build new houses.
We do.
No, for the soul, yeah. Then it's very, and we would go away from here and really we learned something for our life. We don't do like this. We don't have time for that now. We want that we learn something for the soul, for the sambandha of the soul. So, and in a one way, it's a little more challenging. The more practical it goes, normally the more attention is there. And then, once we had we were talking here about Bhagavatam Katha, about some, associates of Radha and Krishna, and some people who just wandered through, and they were sitting, and then they told me after, I don't know what you're discussing here. What's that? We couldn't understand a word. What are you discussing here? But this is the kind of...
And they said, and how is this applicable to my life? Nothing is
Yes.
practical.
Yeah, exactly.
So for that, in their opinion,
Yes.
useless.
Yes. So, I don't know, Maharaj, if it's okay, then you start something and maybe some devotees also have a possibility to ask or to expand, or what is your idea? Maybe you can say a few words. I'm just thankful that we can learn about wonderful personalities, about Gaura-lila, and that we go further from here, or we stay here and we feel, oh, deep, deep new friends entered our life. So, Maharaj, thank you so much that we can have this time together.
Thank you.
Question time? Do we also have a question? Can I ask questions? Can we also ask questions at some time?
Yeah. Also, every evening will be for questions and answers. I mean, also, but I was thinking about sharing some particular topics every morning, and maybe we can have space for questions. But also thinking about questions, we also made the whole evenings. But also in between, I don't want to cut inspiration if there's any question coming. Do you have some question already?
Yeah, I'm realizing that I have a hard time concentrating because I'm so intrigued by what I read this morning. I wanted just maybe if one of you two can clarify this.
But it's somehow related to Gaura-lila. Okay. Just asking, you never know.
I want to prepare for this retreat, and he recommended to read chapter 4 in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Radha.
Yes. And the reasons for their appearance is very related. And I was so confused that in the introduction it was written that Krishna is the subject and Radha is the object.
The other way around.
No, but it was written like that, and that was so.
Are you sure?
And yes, and then I kept thinking, I'm like, well, I know that in Vṛndāvana, Krishna says even to the gopīs that he can't even reciprocate their love, that the love they have for him is already their reward. So, and or when we also hear about Mother Yashoda, Krishna has a feeling she is loving him more, so he's loving. But then I was wondering if the way it's written in the Adi-lila, it's meant on the tattva level, although Krishna feels he's being loved, that on the tattva level, because he is the source of everything, that's why it's written that he is the subject and Radharani is object.
I would like to see the verse actually. Which verse it is?
The introduction on Veda base online.
So that's not the book itself.
No, it's the from Prabhupada.
Okay.
So no, Veda base IO is.
It's okay. It's okay if it's. I can just share. Yeah. No, but you spoke as it sounded like if it was part of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay.
So that's why obviously then it's wrong, huh?
No, I'm not saying it's wrong. Don't rush. Don't rush there. Let's put it simply, Shyamsundari. Radha and Krishna, right? So generally we hear Krishna is the object of love, and Radha embodies the subject of love. But that's in connection to Krishna as the object of love. But from Krishna's perspective, he's the subject of love, and his devotees are the object of love. So it's both ways, depending from which perspective we are talking about. So both are Ashraya and Vishaya, if we want to use the technical terminology. So we can explore the introduction later together, because also, of course, something may be connected in that regard with Mahaprabhu, who is the object of love. Sorry, the object of love, typically understood, entering into the mood of the subject of love, right? Because Mahaprabhu is Krishna, tasting Radha Bhav. So in that way, you can use the inverted terminology, right? So Krishna is Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalitam Naomi Krishna Sarupa. Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Radha, relishing love for Krishna. No? Which, again, I can imagine, again, if two people come now thinking about, I'll learn how to chop wood, and they're hearing now about like inverted Vishaya Ashraya dynamics. So a few words just in connection, so we can continue to explore later.
But it was a good introduction, Shyamsundari. I cannot stay a second further. I cannot sleep. I cannot even hear. When I want to have. It has to be cleared. I think this is the urgency we hear now.
Yeah.
Now some kata about Gaura-lila is not happening. It's not that I cannot sleep tonight, but I cannot eat, and I cannot continue to live. Thank you, Maharaj.
Oh, thank you, Krishna Chandraji. And I also appreciate what you mentioned before about the topic. Some of these topics, how they may sound a little bit impractical, so to say, and how the importance of us. I mean, I have nothing against being practical, but also realizing that that's not the totality of reality, and sometimes in the name of just doing or speaking about practical things, we may be missing the ultimate thing, which in one way is practical in its own way, right? I remember reading, I mean, let me see if I can find the quote quickly, because that's something I'm sharing in the next book from a Christian author. I don't know. Yeah, here it is. That was fun. That was quick. How practical is to fall in love with God? Because again, it may sound like two different things, and all of the things we are talking about here are in that direction of how to fall in love. with the divine. So it's a meditation from one Christian author called Pedro Arrupe. So I'll share this short. He says, nothing is more practical than finding God, than falling in love in a quite absolute final way. What you are in love with, what seizes your imagination, will affect everything. It will decide what you will get. It will decide what will get you out of bed in the morning, what you do with your evenings, how you spend your weekends, what you read, whom you know, what breaks your heart, and what amazes you with joy and gratitude. Fall in love, stay in love, and it will decide everything. Yeah. Pedro Arrupe ki jai. So I like that because, again, it kind of makes full circle in terms, oh, that's not a practical topic. We're talking about God and details and falling in love. Practical. That's the most practical thing at the end of it. Because what you fall in love with will, decide and affect and color every breath and every sight and every thought. So I think it's healthy for us to, as much as we still are tempted to go and chop wood the whole day, and that may be necessary, especially in winter, but not seeing this as a separate project, and not creating again this like duality. Okay, there's the practical, real life stuff, and all the abstract Gorga Dadar Kata. That's like, oh no, they're like, actually it's the most practical thing, but somehow it's we have the difficulty of finding the practicality in that. So it's a gradual process. The more we fall in love, the more practical it will become. So yeah, thank you for making that point in the beginning. So yeah, today we want to, at the feet of Sri Sri Gaur Gadadhar, the feet of the Vaishnavis, in our Ananda Dham Godrum, Kanana Kunj, we are starting sharing on Sri Sri Gaur Gadadhar during this week. So thank you so much for coming. I know many of you came also for many reasons, and one of them is, okay, let's hear more about Gadadhar Pandit and Sri Sri Gaur Gadadhar, and we are all here for that, me included. Hopefully we are all hungry in this direction, holy direction. So it will be 1 week talking about Gadadhar Pandit. Sometimes in our tradition we have this tradition of speaking for a week about the Bhagavatam, sometimes called Bhagavat Saptaha. Remember a few years ago we did in Bulgaria one about Mahaprabhu called Gaur Saptaha, or Chaitanya Bhagavat Saptaha. So we will do now a Gadadhar Saptaha. Probably first time in the history we are doing a Gadadhar Saptaha. Not to sound fancy or exclusive, and it's a continuation. As we were talking yesterday with Francesca, and she made a very interesting question about the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's about like a fixed book that begins here, ends here. It's a finished work. And we're talking, no, I mean, Bhagavat is the love life of the infinite. So how can you put a beginning and an end to that? So it's always overflowing, and you need to write another book. So the Bhagavat, then comes Chaitanya Bhagavat. You need to say more about what the Bhagavat is about. And when we speak about Mahaprabhu and Gaura-lila, Gadadhar Pandit is a crucial aspect. So for me, Gadadhar Saptaha is not different from Bhagavat Saptaha. It's not like, well, Mahaprabhu, but Maharaj, you won't be talking literally about the chapters of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and as we know, you are talking about Gadadhar and Mahaprabhu. Yeah, that's Bhagavatam. No? Whatever concerns divine love is Bhagavatam. Once someone was asking Srila Prabhupada, interestingly, they were talking to him about what's the name of this? Joan of Arc, a French Christian.
Jeanne d'Arc.
Yeah. So they were talking to him about her, and he didn't know about her. So he asked, so who is she? And so they explained, she's a Christian saint and this and that. And he said, oh, she's Bhagavatam. That's how Prabhupada replied, like naturally, like, oh, she's also Bhagavatam. So but that's not in the official edition. Where did it say John of Arc? It doesn't work like that. If we are exploring the heart that loves the divine, that's Bhagavat. So we will be doing this Gadadhar Saptaha is Bhagavatam. Though the name of Gadadhar doesn't appear in the Bhagavatam, the name of Radha does not appear in the Bhagavatam directly, while the whole book is about her. That's a very peculiar idea, right? Like, I'm introducing you this book, which is 18,000 verses, all revolving around one person that is not even once named. Wow, that's an interesting way of writing a book, right? Very intriguing, very crooked. Parokshavad.
Paroksha Mamachapri.
Yeah, Paroksha Mamachapri. Krishna says, I like indirect speech very much. So Gadadhar, Radha is indirect, hidden, secret. Gadadhar Pandit is all that same thing multiply a thousandfold. No? Gaura-lila in itself has that hidden nature, Channa avatar, right? So I like to talk about these topics, but I don't usually talk like on a daily basis about the topics, because for me they are also very it's like the most confidential of the most confidential. I don't want to sound like I'm selling a product. We will be talking about the most confidential, but it is. So we have to name it for what it is, so we can also fasten our seatbelts, embrace ourselves, and honor properly the topic for the secrecy and the confidentiality and the depth of what it has. So yeah, we need to talk about it. But yeah, Gaura-Gadadhar is in Sanskrit called Rahasya Mai, like a reality whose nature is secret, confidential. Rahasya Mai. Very confidential, very difficult to understand in one way also. Not to sound exclusivistic, let's make it complicated, but when something is profound, detailed, full of mysteries, it demands from us also a certain type of attention and presence. So I'm saying all this so we can hopefully try to adopt the necessary inner alignment to be present and attentive, and even if we don't understand, even if we leave this Gadadhar Saptaha, like these two visitors that came that time, like, I didn't get a word of what you were talking this last. I trust that won't be the case, but still we may feel some ideas will pass over where we are now, but still, as we said yesterday, hopefully they can capture our heart aspirationally. Okay, I feel that's not a short-term, middle term, that's a long-term goal, but still you establish it in your goal list. And whatever, and you establish your middle term and short-term goals in the context of the long-term goals. Again, falling in love with the divine. So yeah, during this week, the idea is to talk about Gadadhar Pandit, about his Lila, his life on earth as we came to know it in Navadvip, in Puri then, when Gadadhar moved with Mahaprabhu. We'll be talking about the ontological position of Gadadhar Pandit, who is Gadadhar Pandit, the service disposition of Gadadhar Pandit, which is probably the most important thing, the worship of Gaur Gadadhar. What's the meaning of worshipping Gaur Gadadhar? But before all that, I was thinking today to introduce, we have talked about that in the past, and to introduce Gadadhar Pandit in the context of Mahaprabhu and Gaura-lila in the context of Krishna-lila, because I think it's an important way to warm up for speaking about Gadadhar Pandit. It's not like a cheap thing. Okay, let's talk about Gadadhar Pandit. No, it's like, let's prepare ourselves to get closer to that conversation. So I like to share some thoughts on Gaura-lila, and the importance of Gaura-lila and the depths of Gaura-lila, because many times Gaura-lila is, in my opinion, a little bit underestimated and not properly understood in its depth and breadth, and it's just seen as like a mere bridge to Krishna-lila, and that's it. Like, you cross the bridge, you burn the bridge, and you are already in your destiny, so something like that. And I may be a little bit intense with my wording, but I think the more we understand the glory of Mahaprabhu and Gaura-lila, the glories of Gadadhar Pandit will become more naturally evident. So it's all in the service of Śrī Rādhā. So we'll share today a few introductory words about Gaura-lila. No, introductory. There's nothing introductory in anything we do. Honor Prasad, chant the Mahamantra. What else? That's introductory. Really? So anyhow, so today we'll share a few words about Mahaprabhu and Gaura-lila in the service of Gadadhar, and the remaining days we'll share some words about Gadadhar in the service of Mahaprabhu. So it's all in the service of the divine couple. At the end of the day, it's service to both. The divine couple appear in this unique disposition. Gaur Gadadhar, Radha Govinda, Gaur Gadadhar. Don't forget, Mahaprabhu Bhaktivinoda Thakur had this beautiful darshan what he's singing his Gaur Gadadhar artik. He's contemplating Gaur Gadadhar in God's room, and suddenly they turn into Śrī Rādhā Krishna and Gaur Gadadhar, Radha Krishna, in this infinite spiral, non-different, different and undifferent, Veda Ved. So let's share a few words about Mahaprabhu. Like Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta will say, Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahe Anya Rupanu Janera Jivan. That's a powerful line. So he's saying, Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya Nahe Anya Radha Krishna. He is non-different from Radha Krishna. Rupanug Janera Jivan. And for the Rupanugas, the follower of Rupa Goswami, Janera Jivan. For the Rupanug Janer, people who follow this, to speak about how Mahaprabhu is Radha Krishna is their jivana, is their life and soul. So in which way Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna? Because in a general way we say Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna combined. Yes, but Radha Bhava Dyuti Subalitam Nami Krishna Swarupam. Chaitanya Charitamrita says Mahaprabhu is Krishna, but in the enveloped, as Srila Maharaj will say, by the heart and halo of Śrī Rādhā, by the mood and luster, on the inside, on the outside. So it's Krishna in that mood. In that sense, he's Radha and Krishna combined, not in every sense. So if Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna combined in that sense, he's not Radha and Krishna in total. So where is Radha and Gaura-lila? So even though in this line Gadadhar Pandit is not appearing, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati say Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya Radha Krishna Anya Rupanuk Janer Jivan means our life and soul is to speak in which way Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna, and we will say, and in which way Radha remains as Gadadhar serving Krishna as Mahaprabhu. So that's part of our life and soul, basically. So we'll be trying to share some reflections about that today. Veda Ved. Mahaprabhu and Krishna. And I'm sorry if this sounds like I'm insisting too much, but as conditioned souls, we are dualistic by nature. So it's quite dangerous for us in Gaudiya Vaishnavism that, because we hear that the one non-dual absolute appears in so many faces. And if we are too dualistic, we will just end up doing polytheism. Mahaprabhu and Krishna are two separate guys, and on top of that you have Balaram, Nityananda, and you end up worshipping like a parade of different gods without understanding they're actually one non-dual reality appearing in an infinity of portraits. Bhava portraits, different portraits according to temperament and inner disposition. Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, Varahadev, Mahaprabhu. They're the same photo album of the same person in different dispositions. So Veda Ved, there's difference, but there's oneness as well. And I think it's important to connect that. So if Mahaprabhu and Krishna are the same person, then Gaura-lila and Krishna-lila is the same lila. No, it's different, but it's the same. No. When we start to go too much to the it's different, you need to bring the it's the same. And you are too much it's the same, you need to bring it's different also. But again, the dualistic man tends to go, okay, it's bad or it's abed. It's bad, abed. Oh, that's too uncomfortable. One or the other. Both. Black and white, gray. Black and white. There are endless varieties of black. There are endless varieties of white, and endless varieties of gray, and so many other colors in between. You go, yes, are driving me crazy. So it's important to be at peace with that tension, and not be tempted to go too much to one extreme, too much to the other. Not too much to the bhed extreme, you become dualists, and everything is totally different and disconnected and separate. There's no more harmony, nothing in common. Too much the same, we end up being followers of Shankaracharya or something. So you want the creative tension in between, Veda. And that's Veda applies in so many departments of reality. This is one. Gaura-lila, Krishna-lila. So as I said, Gaura-lila is not merely a bridge to Krishna-lila, but it's a destination unto itself. So we'll be also maybe talking a little bit, where acharyas speak about the possibility of Nitya Navadvip, which is another chamber in Vṛndāvana. Again, let's not create like two separate countries here at war with one another. Vṛndāvana and Navadvip are the same place, as Mahaprabhu and Krishna is the same person, as Radha and Gadadhar are the same person, yet different in certain mood disposition. Like we are in different moods throughout the day, but we are the same person. Let's bring some simple example just to relate. You are not exactly in the same mood throughout the whole day. Well, that would be boring even. There are different moods, but you are the same person. And depending your mood, even your face will change. And the color of your skin, sometimes it will be quite white, and quite red.
The aura.
There's a certain aura. Sometimes you will say, okay, not time to speak with him now. And you go, this ugra mood, not the moment to talk now. You have also the absolute ugra extreme. Okay, we'll talk later. Unless I'm Prahlad Maharaj, we'll talk later. So in the same way, in a different way, but in a similar way, Bhagavan has different emotional dispositions, and there are different phases of that and forms of that. I mean, God is not different from God's heart. So when God feels something, he takes a complete form, different form that mirrors the heart. In the case of Bhagavan is his body. Sometimes we say we are not this body. Bhagavan and his body are not different. So when Bhagavan's heart feels something, that becomes reflected in a particular bodily disposition. But it's the same person. Emotion taking shape. So all that to say again, Gaura-lila is not a bridge, but a landing place of its own. And at the same time, it's very much emphasized by our tradition that is the entry gate to Krishna-lila. Here comes the paradox. Gaura-lila is emphasized like the entry gate to Krishna-lila, but as we will try to see today, then you access Krishna-lila and you explore the depths of Krishna-lila, and you find yourself again in Gaura-lila. It's like, oh, I thought it was the entry, it was the doorway, and now I'm in the most intimate chamber of the house, and it's the doorway. Now it became like the secret chamber, like the vault. The vault is in English when you hide your valuable stuff. And we have different verses in our tradition that points to both directions. That can make you think. The deeper you go in Gaura-lila, the more you immerse yourself in the service of Mahaprabhu, you emerge in Krishna-lila at the feet of Śrī Rādhā, Radha Krishna-lila, Vṛndāvana. Famous verse by Prabodhananda Saraswati, Yatha yatha Gaura Padara Vindam Indedha Bhaktim Krita Punyarasi Tatat Tatat Sarpati Hridya Kashmad Radha Padamboja Sudhamburasi. So he's saying in his Chaitanya Chandramrita, Yatha yatha Gaura Padara Vindam Indedha Bhaktim. The more you immerse yourself in the service of the lotus feet of Gaur, Radha Padamboja Sudhamburasi. You emerge at the service of the feet of Radha. Oh. So it's a beautiful verse and gives this idea of, okay, you enter through Gaura-lila and you arrive to Vṛndāvana Lila, serving Śrī Rādhā. And that's completely true. We have nothing against what Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur has to teach us. But then we find other verses that give a nuanced perspective. I have one here. I have to read it because I haven't learned it by heart, but I promise to learn it today as an offering to the assembly. And those who want to join me are invited. It's shorter than the previous one, just in case. This is from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and from his Sarvabhauma Shatakam, 100 verses he composed on the spot, glorifying Mahaprabhu. He says, Chaitanya charanambuje yasyasti pritirachyuta brindatavi shayostasya bhaktisya chata janmani. So one who possesses unwavering love for the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya must have cultivated devotion for 100 lifetimes unto Sri Rādhā and Krishna, the Lord and Lady of the forest of Vṛndāvana. So here we have the reverse. Those who are worshipping Mahaprabhu, that means they have been adoring Radha and Krishna for 100 lifetimes. In other words, the fruit of worshipping Radha and Krishna became your adoration of Sri Chaitanya. So again, there's no competition here, right? It's not like who will win, Sarvabhauma or Prabodhananda. No? They are like trying to make their point. It's like, if we go deep into Krishna-lila, we enter to Krishna-lila through Gaura-lila, we go deep into Krishna-lila, we get to Gaura-lila, from Gaura-lila we go to Krishna-lila, and you immerse and emerge so many times into both, that at one point you realize, actually it's not a different lila. And they're just being swept into different chambers of the same lila, of the same realm. So I'd like to share a few thoughts on how we can start thinking about Krishna-lila as the gift, Gaura-lila taken to Krishna-lila, and then we can conclude back in the other direction. So sorry for splitting your mind into a few directions and turning. I think it's necessary. It may be not as practical as learning to build a cabin or chopping wood, but we have hope that this will. We are building another cabin, Mama Mandir, right? So this is the chopping of the wood for building the cabin eventually, right? Putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So Krishna-lila, when we say Krishna-lila, we mean Braja-lila generally. No? Because Mathura-lila is Krishna-lila, Dwarka-lila is Krishna-lila, and all glories to Mathura and all glories to Dwarka. But the bias of Gaudiya Vaishnavism is towards Vṛndāvana. Bias is not a bad word. It can be a sacred bias.
We just said, Paksha Charan, I want to be Paksha.
Partial too. So biased. Yeah. If you want to be unbiased, Brahma Jyoti is waiting for you there. Because if not, you will be biased to the point, as you say, Paksha. You will get to a land where you will be Paksha to someone, and because of that, there will be Paksha groups. But again, it's not a competition in the way we find it here. But still, there's different biases, and they clash into one another, but in a way that nourishes love. So that's a whole art unto itself, right? So Krishna-lila in Vṛndāvana, Radha Krishna-lila, Braja-lila, there is one beautiful verse in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, this is the Paribhas Sutra of the whole Krishna-lila, interestingly. The Paribhas Sutra is like a short statement around which everything revolves. So he quotes this verse, is in 8th chapter, verse 45, in the context of Damodar Lila, which is a very Braja Lila. It's a Lila very much Braja Lila like, because you have God being a child, being scared, crying, being tied to a mortar. It's the last thing you usually think about who God can be, right? It's very Braja Lila like. It's like breaking all these assumptions we have. He says, Traya Chopanishadischa Sankhya Yoga Jatatvachai Upagiyamana Mahatmyan Harim Samanyatatmajam. He's saying, that Hari who is glorified in the Upanishads and the texts about Sankhya and Yoga and is seen as the supreme maximum reality, he's being seen as Yashoda, as her own child. So again, it's a simple statement, but it says a lot. This person that is praised and glorified around ages by great munis as the utmost supreme absolute, he's being seen by this lady as his baby. So Vishwanath Chakravarti said, this is the Paribhasa Sutra for Braja-lila. In other words, it conveys what Dvara Braja Bhav is about. In general, we are not entering into the detail, but in general, which is you fall in love so badly with Krishna, with the Absolute, that you lost sight that God is God. And God loses sight that He is God. So what's that love? What's the power of such a love that will create this holy oblivion? Everyone loses sight about who God is. So that's why for us our line in the Bhagavatam is Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. For us Krishna is this, and we will add Braja Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Because you can say Mathura Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, Dwarka Krishnastu Bhagavan. We will add our biased Paksha footnote, Braja Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam.
Nikunja Krishna.
There are endless degrees of biasness. Yeah. And that's another Paribhasa Sutra. Jiva Goswami said this line, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, is a Paribhasa Sutra of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam.
General.
Yeah.
Paribhasa Sutra.
So we start from something general and it gets, as Krishna Chandra said, Vishesh Sambandha. Everything starts to become ornamented with layers and layers of specificity till it becomes, as I like to say, radically personal. You have your own unique, irrepeatable relationship with the sweet absolute. So this is a very unique contribution of Gaudiya Sampradaya and related Vṛndāvana Rasik Sampradayas about this notion of not so much Krishna being an aspect of God, as I like to say, but God is an aspect of Krishna. Hopefully you get the math properly. For us, Krishna is not an aspect of God. It's the other way around. God, as is generally understood, will be more related to Paramatma or something. That's an aspect of Krishna. Oh, God is an aspect of Krishna. Who is Krishna? And again, we are not yet talking about Radha and Gadadhar. We are warming up, right? We are building, because if we just make the jump, we may say, "Wow, nice, Gadadhar ki jai." But if we don't understand all this foundation, we may not be able to fully appreciate that. So for us, Krishna is God beyond God. Still is God on a secondary designation level, but primarily He is who He is. So like how in the Bible, one point God is asked, "Who are you?" and He say, "I am who I am." That's good. He didn't say, "I'm God." God is, yes, some office role somewhere, but I am who I am. Sounds abstract, but you cannot get more personal than that. If I ask Krishna Chandra, "Who are you?" he can say, "I'm Krishna Chandra," but that's a name. But if he tells me, "I am who I am," that's the most specific answer he can possibly give. What's that? We will find about, but I am who I am. So Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam is basically that. No? Krishna is God when God wants to be Himself. God as He is. Beyond, and that means beyond God. God is a role, universal cosmic administration department. Krishna is something else. Barefoot, informal, at home. We're in pajamas, if you will. Right? Like if you find the president of Switzerland with suit and tie at the government house, another thing is when he's in pajamas at home. Informality, intimacy, sweetness. And this is established for our tradition in many sections. I won't go into the details of that now. But this supremacy of the Braja Krishna Braja-lila conception, Akila Rasamrita Murti, as Sri Rupa Goswami will call it. Jiva Goswami writes a whole Sandarbha to make this point, called Krishna Sandarbha. She's the fourth Sandarbha. He doesn't jump into that. He first, Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavat Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha. We have to talk about Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, and Jiva Shakti, Maya Shakti. Okay, then we can talk about Krishna. And then we talk about Bhakti, and then we talk about Brahm, Priti. So, so this is the uniqueness of Vṛndāvana, right? The Brajavasis worship God as Narayan, but they love Krishna. Yeah, it's a different thing. Narayan is in the altar outside, Krishna is in the altar inside of their hearts. And even whatever worship they do of Narayan is all for the sake of Krishna.
They think it's karma kanda.
Yeah.
Or karma mishra bhakti.
Yeah. That's the example I was going to give. Like if someone on this earth, we worship Gaura-lila, like, please allow my child to recover from fever. He's so sick. And someone will say, that's not Shuddha Bhakti. But somehow the Brajavasis are doing their own unique version of that. They're worshipping Narayan in the altar. Oh, may Krishna be protected in the forest. May he not walk on any pebbles. So outwardly sounds like mixed adoration. But it's the highest form of Archana Siddhi. It's the perfection of puja. Hari Vyasadeva, you have a problem in your hand like Madhavi, or is it a question?
No, it's a question.
Okay, just to confirm.
So I have a question about that mood of worship of Narayan being a member of Raj-lila, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
So do they still have that deeper understanding that Narayan is actually Krishna and Krishna is actually Narayan, or is it more dualistic in some sense that they see Narayan and they just worship him for the sake of protecting Krishna, or like you said, karma kanda kind of understanding?
Well, there's some interesting point that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes in one commentary on the Bhagavatam, and I cannot share the exact verse now, I don't remember, and I can let you know. And he will say that because, and he makes this point in detail in his Ragavartma Chandrika also, which is Vṛndāvana is a land of Madhurya or intimacy, but actually it's filled with Aishwarya. It's not that there's no Aishwarya. It's not that the Brajavasis do not know that Krishna is God. In the Aishwarya is there, but it's buried under endless layers of Madhurya. So for all practical purposes, they forget. That's why it's called Gyan Shunya Bhakti, and Krishna forgets. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes a point, which is in certain leelas, the bhava or the mood is disrupted. And for a few moments, their awareness of, I mean, that's one point. There may be difference of opinion, but for example, in the Gopi Gita, there are a few prayers where the gopis pray to Krishna's, acknowledging that he is the supreme being. So some acharyas will say that's because their bhava was disrupted by Krishna disappearing from Rasa Lila, and in that separation, for a moment, that awareness comes. But even if we accept that, the point is that even if that happens, that only nourishes their Vishesh Sambandha, or the unique relationship with Krishna, as Krishna, not as God. So things like that. So even if we could make the case, they have the knowledge, sometimes it comes to the surface with certain disruption of the bhava comes there. Okay, but even that is nourishing their love in intimacy. No, there may, like the gopis may pray to Krishna as God, but they will use the fact that he's God to chastise him in the context of Madhurya Bhav. You follow me? So again, it's like, what? No? For a moment, you remember that your boyfriend is God, and you just like weaponize that to bully on your boyfriend, so to say, and for love to increase. No? So that's a very unique psychology that you find in Vṛndāvana, right? Or like when Krishna lifts Govardhan hill. That's an overtly Aishvaric lila. As we said yesterday, a 5-year-old boy lifting a whole hill. And at one point, some Brajavasis are a little bit like, oh, Krishna is God, or something like that. And again, it says sometimes that the idea may come for a moment, but it's very quickly like swallowed by tons of Madhurya. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the example of boiling milk. So milk is boiling, like a volcano erupting. And you take a straw, and you throw it into the boiling milk. And you can see the straw for 1 second, and then it's swallowed by the boiling milk and it disappears. So you say the Aishwarya is that straw. Sometimes it may come for a moment, but the Madhurya boiling milk is like still there. The straw is somewhere there, but you no longer see it. No? So that could be a way of mentioning that. Yeah.
Or Chatul Bihari, when the gopis, when Krishna runs away from Gaura-lila, so Krishna takes the form of 4 Narayans. So the gopis, at that moment, they know this is God, this is Vṛndāvana. But again, the only intensity they ask for is, where is Shyam Sundar? So he must at least be all-knowing. So, and Krishna, in the form of Narayan, he just shakes his head, I have no idea. So this doesn't disturb their faith in the all-knowing Narayan. At least he should be all-knowing, but now he doesn't know. So then they just say, okay, then we proceed. So, and then even Srimati Radhika is passing. Chatul Bihari cannot even keep this form. So he has to be Shyam Sundar again. So it's a wonderful thing. It's part of the Gaura-lila that no, Krishna is, this Narayan is God. They're not atheists, Brajavasis, but the intensity of love has to make them completely being oblivious, and that much more love can appear. And this is just a...
I'll continue. The camera is pointing at you now. Yeah, and the beautiful thing in regards to that lila is that also how in the presence of Śrī Rādhā, Krishna cannot stand the 4-armed form. So that shows also how his form is a result of the love he's having in front. Now, how Bhagavan adopts different forms according to the type of bhakti that is impacting in him. So anyhow, we were talking about so far exploring a little bit this hopefully very practical topic. Hopefully we can get in some connection with that. And how unique is this psychology of the Brajavasis, that no matter what you put in front of them, their love can only increase. Now, whether Krishna behaves like a child crying and escaping, or he's doing superhuman feats and lifting a hill, or killing this demon, or no matter what he does, from very Aishvaric to non-Aishvaric at all, the only response possible from the hearts of the Brajavasis is just their love to swell. So that's a very unique psychology. So Krishna, again, he just lives to reciprocate the affection of their devotees. No, Chaitanya Charitamrita says basically that whatever the bhakta wants, Bhagavan has as his only duty to fulfill that desire. That's kind of his abhiman. Krishna says, I only live to fulfill the desire of my devotees. That's my job. No? Like if you are asking people, what do you do for a living? I fulfill the desires of my devotees. That's Krishna's humble reply. He's not saying I'm God, the source of everything. I'm just a humble. I'm trying to fulfill the desires of my lovers. I just live for that. That's the goal of my life. Ham bhakta paradino yashvatan trivadvija sadhuvir grasta hridayo bhaktir bhakta jana priya. I have no independence whatsoever. I'm completely seized by the love of my devotees. That's who I am. So again, with this unique love of the Vrajavasis that we are describing a little bit, their psychology, it's a good question to present to Krishna. Okay, they have this unique love for you, and you say you only live to reciprocate to their love. But how will you reciprocate to this love? I mean, and that's the question. There are two. One famous verse from Uddhava, Bahuvakyam Shanakala Kutam. We will quote that these days because that's part of one lila. I've got other pandit also. No, I won't say more about that. But Uddhav there is saying, how can there be anyone more merciful than Krishna? No? Putana approached him trying to kill him as an infant, and he gave her Vatsalya Prem. No? As one friend said, God is not good at math. No? You want to kill me, I give you Vatsalya Prem. That doesn't sound like a good calculation. He's not thinking with a calculator at hand. So
Not just.
exactly. Justice has been left way long time ago. So it's disproportionate, you say? Disproportionate. So there we come to this famous verse of Brahmā that I remember in the Brahmā Stuti that we shared. I think it was first time I came here to Ananda Dham. We were studying the Brahmā Stuti. I think we finished the whole study here, the last verses. I've been doing that throughout the world because it was like 50 classes. But we were going through this verse of Brahmā Shagosham Nivasinam, etc., where Brahmā is saying that to Krishna at the end of his Brahmā Bimohan Lila, right? Brahmā is bewildered in many ways. In the beginning, thinking this Krishna with his friends having a picnic, he must be an imposter. I mean, I know Krishna from the beginning of creation. He's God and my guru. No? My guru is God, by the way. But this guy is having picnic with other people. That's not Krishna. So Bimohan. And of course, then Krishna expands, that like the calves, like the boys, and Brahma goes to the cave. They are still there, but they are also outside, and foreheads of Brahma start to spin faster and faster. Eventually, Krishna shows himself appearing through the calves and the boys. Brahma's heads are like spinning like crazy at this point. And then comes the prayers, humble prayers of Brahma. And a new level of bewilderment comes there, because now he's appreciating the love of the Vrajavasis, realizing, because he wanted to be a friend with Krishna. Vishwanath Chakravarti comments in the Bhatan, beginning of creation, when Krishna instructs Brahma, Krishna extends his hands to Brahma, and they shook hands. And Brahma says, oh, it feels nice to shake hands with Krishna, with Krishna Chandra as well. Oh, I want to be his friend. Oh, I am his friend. So Brahma wanted that. I want to be friends with Krishna. So then he was introduced to what real friendship with Krishna is about. And he was thrown into Vṛndāvana in the midst of a picnic with the gopās. And Brahma was this. That was too much for Brahma at the moment. Eventually he realized the nature of their love. And he says, Aho bhagyam nanda gopa brajoka sam janmitram paramanandam purna brahma sanatana. Brahma is bewildered, like, aho, no, aho. In Sanskrit, aho is like, wow. Wow. Remember? You have good memory. That sounded a lot, that word, right? There was a whole something all over everything. So Brahma is saying, how fortunate, how fortunate, wow, how fortunate are these people of Vṛndāvana. He says, Janmitram Paramanandam Purna Brahma Sanatana. Krishna, who is the Purna Brahma, the most complete form of the Absolute, they are relating to the ultimate Brahman as a friend. Again, Bimohan, Brahma is like, what's that? They are related to Krishna, the topmost form of the Absolute, as equals, as peers. They're having picnic together. They're giving Krishna their own remnants from the lunchbox and putting that into their Krishna's mouth with the left hand. What's this love? So then comes this Isha Gosha Nivashanam prayer by Brahma, which is Krishna, I have one doubt. I mean, now that I'm realizing who are you, who are these Brajavasis, how you usually reciprocate with everyone, how do you plan to reciprocate with them? Because again, Putana want to kill you, you gave her Vatsalya Prem. I mean, to someone that approached you with murderous intention, you gave Vatsalya Prem. So how will you reciprocate to the Brajavasis whose hearts, homes, families, lives, every breath, every blink, they do not blink? It's all for you. My mind is blown up, Brahma said. It's another Vimohan for Brahma now. Like, I'm bewildered. I'm bewildered by their love, and I'm bewildering about thinking how you will reciprocate. And then Krishna becomes bewildered. When Brahma asks the question, how to reciprocate to them, Krishna's like, Now his head starts to spin now. Krishna's head like, oh, wow. Krishna Bimohan Lila now. So what to do? So Krishna's in silent. He doesn't reply in that section. He doesn't say, Brahma, I will reciprocate in this way and in that way. No. He enters Mauna. No? Interesting contemplation. He becomes introspective. Like, what? That's a great question. What to do? And it takes like 20 chapters in the Bhagavatam for him to be able to say something about it. We move from chapter 14 of the 10th canto to chapter 32 at the end of the Rasa Panchadhyaya. When I won't go into the details of Rasa-lila, but as we know, in Rasa-lila, eventually Krishna disappears and he was with Radha, and somehow there are different explanations as to why Krishna leaves Radha, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur will say that Krishna becomes curious about, he's familiar with Radha's love for him in union, but Krishna becomes like uniquely curious about what's the glory of her love in separation from me. So Krishna disappears from Radha. It's not out of cruelty. It's not like he's like insensitive guy, though the gopis will say that all the time. But again, it's in the context of increasing the rasa. So then Radha is plunging into an ocean of separation, and Krishna is witnessing that. Especially in the Gopi Gita, all this starts to flourish in the hearts of the gopis and Radha in particular. And Krishna is witnessing that camouflage behind a tamal tree. Then we have Tamal Krishna. Krishna camouflaged behind a tamal tree to witness Radha's love and separation. And eventually he returns and he says famously, Napariham nirabhadya sanjayam sasadhu kritam vibhusaya sapiva jamava jandurjaragiha shrinkala sambrishchatadva pratiyatu sadhana. So now he has an answer for Brahma's question. No? When Brahma says, how will you reciprocate these Brajavasis? No? In general, he asks. Now he's responding particular to the gopis, and he say, Naparayaham. I cannot repay back. That's my answer. After thinking a lot, he said that. He didn't reach that simple answer without proper contemplation. He really contemplated how to pay back their love, how to be properly, how to honor my words in the Bhagavad Gita. Now Krishna is in trouble because everyone knows Bhagavad Gita. Everyone will put Bhagavad Gita into his face, saying, 411 Krishna, 411 Yatamam prapadyanti tam stataiva bhajamyaham. You say, according to your surrender, I reciprocate. And Krishna is like, well, there are exceptions to the rule. That still applies, but there is a point where someone loves me so much that I have to contradict myself. Bhagavad Gita is no longer applicable. In the height of the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, I mean, with all honor and respect of the Gita, of course, but it's spoken to different people in different contexts. So Krishna speaking to the gopis, he cannot say, I will reciprocate accordingly. He's saying, I'm eternally indebted to you. Not only I cannot repay back, I don't know how much is my debt. Because one thing is, okay, I have a debt with Trivanga of 4 million euros. No, I know the number at least, but I will tell him I will never be able to pay back. I don't have €1, so what's big of 4 million? But at least I have the number. Krishna say, I don't even have the number of the debt that I acquired in love with you. It's so much. What to speak of paying it? I don't even know how much I'm indebted I am. So this is the God we worship, a God that accepts defeat at the feet of love. Dehi pada palavamodara. Krishna falls at the feet of Radha and tries to serve and to honor love. So the only, I have to break my promise in the Bhagavad Gita. I have to acknowledge my defeat. And at the same time, I have to acknowledge that the love you have for me, that's the important part of the verse, may that love be its own reward. That here starts the hint to Gaura-lila. Remember, we are talking about Gaura-lila today. Don't lose sight. Some of you are falling asleep. I need to do some. You can follow the footsteps of Madhavi, do some stretching if you need. You need some massage, some electric shock to keep you awake. Not now, not now. I will lose all the audience if we gave the information.
Slam the mridanga from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other side. Okay. The mridanga player falling asleep, by the way, he's playing. So anyhow, go into this verse of the Bhagavatam. Krishna saying, I cannot repay back. I don't know how much is my debt of love to you. Your love is such that that's the reward unto itself. It cannot be rewarded. No, the love is of such quality that in itself that's the reward. And indirectly, Krishna is saying, and I want to experience that. No, I mean, I'm the object of that love, going back to object subject. But what it feels to be the subject of that love, I have no clue. No, what it means to be a devotee, basically. In one sense, Gaura-lila is all about God wondering what it means to be a bhakta. Sometimes all of us bhaktas sometimes are like, oh, yeah, I'm a bhakta. I like to be, what if I will be God? Well, God is asking the reverse question, right? As Mahaprabhu, what it means to be a bhakta. That's for you to appreciate the position you have been given by grace. You're a bhakta. God himself is after that position. And as we were saying today, sometimes even in some Gaudiya circles, the word bhakta is like, oh, he's a bhakta. No? Like a 2-week newcomer or something. Well, Mahaprabhu is called Bhakta Avatar. God descending to be a bhakta. I'm feeling subjectively I'm a newcomer to this. Because we are always newcomers to bhakti. Well, bhakti is of such nature that it keeps everyone a newcomer, including God himself. So watch out to thinking, I'm a 25-year-old bhakta here. Mahaprabhu will never say anything like that. Not even the thought will cross his mind for a second, because bhakti is of such a nature that any genuine contact with bhakti is like students forever. That's what Sridhar Maharaj will say. So in this verse from the Bhagavatam again, which is Krishna's answer to Brahma's question 20 chapters before, which is the zenith of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Rasa-lila, you cannot get higher, deeper than that. Somehow Gaura-lila is born. In a poetic way, Gaura-lila is an eternal reality, but if we want to connect it with Krishna-lila, Gaura-lila is starting to bloom in the heights of Krishna-lila. Remember, we were thinking, oh, Gaura-lila is the entry door to Krishna-lila. Now you enter Krishna-lila, go to the depths of Krishna-lila, heights, Rasa-lila, and Gaura-lila appears there. Krishna is saying to Radha, I cannot repay back your love. That's your own reward, but I want to taste it. And Sanatana Goswami reads this verse from the Bhagavatam saying, once in a day of Brahma will come as a sadhu, and I will try to repay back your love. Though I know I won't be able, but I cannot just remain like with my arms crossed. I cannot repay back your love. So great love you have, but I cannot do anything. So good luck. No, I will try my best. Even though I know that by trying my best, probably my debt will continue to increase. And that's what happens in Gaura-lila, as we'll see. No? Gaura-lila is Krishna's attempt to reduce his debt of love, so to say, only to realize it keeps increasing. And that's why we will say there's no need to other lila apart from Gaura-lila, because Krishna already realized, okay, this is an eternal depth of love that keeps increasing in every direction. So in that,
this is the reason why Gaura-lila must be eternal.
We need an eternal Gaura-lila, because if not, it's like, oh no, that's why I like to say, we will talk about that these days. We could say, oh, Mahaprabhu, in his lila on earth, he was successful tasting Radha Bhav. No? One could say, make the case. At the end of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the last chapter is Shikshastakam. The last verse of Shikshastakam, Krishna-das Kaviraj Goswami says, this verse was spoken by Radha. He's not saying this was spoken by Mahaprabhu, though Mahaprabhu was spoken. So that's his way of saying Mahaprabhu became, quote unquote, Radha. He was successful in tasting Radha Bhav. But again, this verse that we say before, Jatayata Gaura Padara Vindam Videta Bhaktin Krita Punyarasi Tatat Sarta Vihida Radha Padam Boja Sudham Burasi. The feet of Śrī Rādhā is an ocean of rasa. So there's no end to how much you can explore and taste that. So that's why we need an eternal Gaura-lila. It's no end. It's not like, no need for Gaura-lila now because Krishna did it. No. So again, now we are in the hikes of the Bhagavatam, Rasa Lila, and Gaura-lila is appearing. Going back to this verse from Sarvabhauma that we quoted earlier. No? After 100 lifetimes of service to Radha and Krishna, you become inclined to worship Mahaprabhu. After 100 Rasa Lilas, you realize, Gaura-lila, there's one golden shoot coming from. Shoot, is anything? Offshoot? Shoot? Golden offshoot coming at the zenith of that mountain called Krishna-lila, Raja-lila. That's Gaura-lila. So in this way, we find ourselves back in Gaura-lila now. Not as the entry door, but as the zenith of the zenith in connection to from another perspective. And now Gaura-lila becomes, as some acharyas will call, Parishishta Lila. Have you heard the expression Parishishta Lila? Parishishta means appendix. Not like this one. Because also this one called appendix. Like an appendix in a book. So you write a book, and somehow addendum. Anham. So that's like an afterthought. Something that you need to add to the book to make it complete. You've officially finished the book, but no. Something else needs to be added here. So Gaura-lila is the Parishishta Lila of Krishna-lila, the appendix of Krishna-lila, through which Krishna-lila becomes successful. Because Krishna-lila is incredible and beautiful in Vṛndāvana, but it creates its own, if we want to use the word problems, to solve. Like the one we mentioned, Krishna is witnessing the love of Radha and he wants to taste that, and he cannot do that in the Braja-lila per se, but the new chamber of Raja-lila is there to allow him, like a laboratory, to explore Radha's heart as Gauranga. So in that sense, we will say that Gaura-lila facilitates the success of Krishna-lila. Without Gaura-lila, as once I heard, it's strong words, but without Gaura-lila, Krishna-lila is a failure. It's not complete for us. It's a failure project. Krishna will feel, still there's something that I need to taste that I cannot taste. So Gaura-lila facilitates that. So as Mahaprabhu, Krishna is tasting what he couldn't taste as Krishna, merely as Krishna. That's why in Chaitanya Charitamrita, interestingly, Krishna-das Kaviraj Goswami refers to Mahaprabhu as Paratattva Simha, the highest limit of the absolute truth, the highest reach of the absolute truth. He reserves that name to Mahaprabhu. One name that we use for Krishna in the Gita and other parts is Prabhu. But only Sri Chaitanya is called Mahaprabhu. It's Prabhu endowed with the Maha Bhav of Śrī Rādhā. Mahabhav Swarupini. If Mahabhav Swarupini and Prabhu Sri Krishna together have Mahaprabhu. So that's why I like to say, when we say before, Krishna is tu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Krishna. Is Krishna becoming as Krishna as he can in his Rasa-raj exploration? Rasa-raj, he's the one who relishes all rasa. There's one rasa he's not relishing as Krishna in Vṛndāvana that he only tastes as Mahaprabhu. So as Mahaprabhu, he becomes Rasa-raj proper. Gaur Govinda Swami will make that point in his embankment of separation. He gives this example, which again, if understood without context, makes it sound even insulting. Say Krishna is like an unripe mango. Like, oh, Krishna is an unripe mango. And Mahaprabhu is a ripe mango. A ripe mango is golden. So Mahaprabhu is golden. Again, it's the same person, don't forget this. And it's a way of making a point. No? In the unripe mango, there is some mellow that still is missing, that you only find in the golden ripe mango. So he will make the case in Krishna, the unripe mango, there's something that is not yet fully experienced until he manifests as Mahaprabhu, the golden ripe mango, which is not an event in time, don't forget. Somehow we explain it like if it were a chronological thing, but this is an eternal reality. Anuradha is raising her hand.
A chapter about Guru.
Okay.
You write there that Guru is the highest potential of oneself. It is the embodiment of my own highest potential, which is running around in front of me. And when you were now talking about this unripe mango, it appears to me that one could say Mahaprabhu is Krishna's highest potential.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and in connection to what, thank you. And in connection to what you say, we can say, of course, Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Radha. And who is Radha? Radha is Krishna's guru. Krishna's Gurvi. Radhikar Prema Guru Ami Shishyanata. Said by Krishna. And Krishna is saying, again, Krishna is saying, Radhikar Prema, she's my Prem Guru. Which is another way to say she's my guru, because a guru is supposed to be a Prem Guru. So I'm learning love from her. And I'm a student at her Prema Vidyalaya, at her dancing school of divine love. So connect to your point. Guru is our own potential appearing in front of us. So Krishna is seeing his guru Śrī Rādhā, reflecting some potential. So now he's like embracing that what the guru is reflecting and trying to imbibe that by becoming Mahaprabhu, right? And then Mahaprabhu becomes Krishna as guru, in one sense. Krishna is in his Acharya-lila, teaching as a guru, but because it's Krishna having embraced the mood of his own guru, Śrī Rādhā. So, yeah. So anyhow, different ways to speak about that, and hopefully it doesn't sound like we are making a case here of Mahaprabhu is better and Krishna is worse, and speaking in a dualistic, childish way. We're talking about the same person exploring his own heart. Once this idea came, when you, for those who have been in India, sometimes you are in the street and they're selling this sugar cane juice, and they're like squeezing. So we can, if we want to use that as an analogy, and Bhagavan is like a sugar cane. So you do the first squeezing, so some juice comes. We have the Narayan squeeze. Again, it is from Rasa Tattva. We don't want to be sectarian here, from a Rasa perspective. Okay, Bhagavan Narayan, a second squeeze. Bhagavan Śrī Rādhā, a little bit more sweetness is coming. Another squeeze. Dwarka Krishna. There's place for more. Yeah. One more. Another glass, please. We are here at the tavern again. It's getting sweeter and sweeter. Mathura Krishna. One more. Braja Krishna. It seems there is nothing else left. No, there is one more squeeze left. Oh, Gaur Krishna, right? Ripe mango. No? So in English they have a saying, maybe it's not so applicable here in Europe, so I don't know, I may not say it. Do you have this thing in English, in Europe, like this such and such thing is the new black? Only Anurad is understanding that, it seems. Yeah, you have that? This is the new black. This is the new black. So we will say here gold is the new black. No? Gore is the new sham, so to say. No? So basically, in conclusion, just to conclude, I don't want to overextend, but please don't lose sight. All this is in the service of Gadadhar Pandit. We are just building the foundation of what we want to talk about these days. So Gaura-lila is kind of the solution to the dilemma of Krishna-lila. Krishna finding himself, okay, what to do with this love of Radha, how to reciprocate, how to taste that. Krishna, as we will see these days, Radha's Gadadhar will gradually train Krishna's Mahaprabhu to relish her heart. He has to increase his adhikar. how to increase my adhikar, my capacity to receive the intensity of this love. So we will see how Radha's Gadadhar is gradually schooling Krishna in Gaura-lila to become more and more capable of understanding and relishing and bearing the intensity of her heart. So yeah, Mahaprabhu Gaura-lila is Krishna attaining his PhD in Prem or something like that, right? So yeah, Mahaprabhu or Rupa Goswami calls, he speaks about these forms of the absolute Purna, Purnatara, Purnatam. Krishna is perfect in Dwarka. He's more perfect in Mathura. He's most perfect in Vṛndāvana. And we can add the Purna Tama Tama. He's most perfect in Navadvip as Mahaprabhu. So anyhow, a few words I want to share with you today about Gaura-lila, about Mahaprabhu, and how glorious, again, hopefully reflecting back to our situation, Gaura-lila is when Krishna becomes a sadhaka. When Krishna becomes a practitioner to attain his ultimate perfection, to attain his prayojan, prem prayojan. Prem prayojan. Prem is a goal for all of us, including for God. The real goal of life has to be the goal of life for everyone, including God. And the nature of prem is that it can never be fully attained. You can always relish something new. So the goal remains always yet to be attained on a new level. So in that way, as today we spoke about mostly about Mahaprabhu being Krishna in his highest potential, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Krishna, however you may like to call it, in his most upgraded version. These days we will explore the role of Radha as Gadadhar. Radha, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Radha is the Supreme Personality of the Goddess. And Gadadhar is the Supreme Personality of Radha. We will try to explore a little bit more these days, no? Gadadhar as Radha in her ultimate form to serve Krishna in his ultimate form as Mahaprabhu. Anyhow, some warming up for what's to come. We have not talked much about Gadadhar directly, but it's all about indirect speech here. Something you would like to add, refine, please, Krishna Chandana?
Someone? Thank you. Just Srila says Gaura-lila really has these three aspects. It's and you started with this. One can see Gaura-lila as an awakening lila for Vṛndāvana. Really, because I need this kind of love. then Srila Maharaj calls it Udbodak Lila. Then there's an explosion. And you quoted the verse Yata Yata Gaura Padara Vinde. You just jump in Gaura-lila and suddenly you're in Braj-lila Swarup. Suddenly you realize, oh, I am not this. I am a servant of Srimati Radhika. So, and then there's this Parishish Lila you mentioned. This is like the other part. The verse of Sarvabhauma. This is, it has to be an appendix, you know, after worshipping Krishna for so long, then suddenly there is an eternal Leela there, which is a perfection. And then the third aspect you mentioned at the end, oh, it's the bhajan Leela. Krishna really likes to do the bhajan, and he experienced so much more while doing bhajan. So this is like a, and it's maybe in addition to your last book, the eternal evolution, not just of this world, not just of love, and not just of fascination. There must be also an eternal evolution of God himself.
Where's the exact difference between the Parishish and the Bhajan Lila when you say he experiences so much more? Isn't that already the appendix?
In one way, yes. I think it's just like,
Sorry,
yeah.
heavy of the Parishish. That's expressed itself in the Bhajan Lila.
Yes, I think Shri Maharaj said it's like this: the parishish, the appendix. This has to be, Krishna Lila has to flow. As you said, the you know, it has to flow to something, and it's like that what Krishna couldn't experience, and he was astonished. You know, every time he looks at Srimati Radhika, he's so astonished. Once we mentioned from Lalit Madhav, from Srila Rupa Goswami, how Krishna is sitting in a theater play in Mathura. And he looks at Rama, that the Gandharvas are playing from Vṛndāvana Lila. And Krishna is in the audience. And he's looking. And then suddenly Krishna appears on the stage. And Krishna is holding Uddhava and shaking. And who is this? Can you tell me? You know, it's like a complete fascination, even for himself. Why? Because the Parishish Leela, now he is entering in that what Srimati Radhika sees. He knows, Radhika sees in him a beauty that he's not seeing. He's already fascinated by seeing his own beauty. Then he's thinking, what's the beauty in me that Radhika is seeing? I'm seeing just this player, just a Gandharva playing, and Krishna is already completely fascinated about him. But when Radhika sees Shyam Sundar, she's experiencing so much more. So this is like the Parishish Leela. I want to enter that eternal realm. And the Bhajan Leela is like, I want to do bhajan, and I'm so happy, and I feel myself a bhajananandi, myself. I think this is about the three aspects of Gaura-lila.
The bhajan is for disturbing part.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say that each one is like a natural extension of the other, natural expression of the other, like inevitable conclusion of the other, like what you were saying, like if you pay close attention to Krishna Lila, for example, the Goswamis never spoke in their books too directly about Gaura-lila, the 6 Goswamis, for example. Their focus was mostly on Vṛndāvana Lila. But if we pay attention, they spoke about Krishna Lila in such a way that takes you to conclude there has to be a Gaura-lila. So that was their type of Parok Shabbat. Like speaking about describing the mood of Vṛndāvana in such a way that it takes you to the point that you yourself ask the question, and where's Gaura-lila? Though they are not talking about it, but there has to be a Gaura-lila. Cannot finish like that. No, so it's inevitable. It's like a parishista, inevitable extension. There has to be that. And then when you are in that parishista lila, bhajan becomes inevitable. There has to be a way of participating in that and expressing that and extending that to others. So one takes is a current of inevitability, so to say.
And you started to speak about that this lila is rahasyamai, that it's extremely confidential and secret. And of course, we know Gaura-lila has another aspect. It's odaryamai. It wants to give. So, but still, what is the qualification of a hearer even to? It's odarya. It really wants to give because it's Radhika's heart. She wants to expand the service of Krishna to Krishna. But when we enter such Gaura-gadadhar realm, what is the qualification for entering a rahasyamai realm?
What will you say to that question? If I will be the one asking you the question. I like to do that all the time.
Be careful if you what you ask.
I just take a mirror and throw it back to you. It's a great question. I really appreciate it. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
because again, Gaura-lila can be seen as something very just. I mean, they brought the name indiscriminately great, lots of generosity, but there's this very confidential thing that how to.
Maybe experience now in my heart is just atmosphere here that some bhaktas take considerable amount of time in their life. We could do millions and millions of things. They say, let's devote to a mystery. Let's explore. I think only then something can become real. I don't feel it's like qualities like we need this kind of
checking boxes.
Yeah, because Gaura-lila it's a giving lila, but really that things are opening. This is what I just feel now. Asking I really asked the question, but now by a mirror.
What to do?
Maybe this is the atmosphere, like when some bhaktas sincerely come together and say, let's put this in the center. And we worship that center by attention. This means by exploring. So maybe this is a thing that really rahasyas, secrets can come out. But I don't know, maybe you have more.
Yeah, I mean, I thank you. I was thinking about Bodhayanta Parashparam, what you just said, right? Bhagavad Gita 10:9, where Krishna says, my devotees enlighten one another. And what's happening in Sadhu Sangha and provide each other nourishment and relishment. But yeah, properly putting something in the center. And yeah, on one side, I will say Gaura-lila is very absolutely Audarya-like and indiscriminate nature and generosity. But at the same time, that's a perennial question of grace. Okay, you have this lila, this so generous, but still we have to do how we honor that grace. What do we do that is totally given and available? Doesn't mean that I have to do something myself. So how to craft the kripa patra in proper sangha, make the heart a vessel to receive mercy. Because Gaura-gadadhar is, Srila Maharaj will say, Gaura-gadadhar is the private bhajan chamber of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So sometimes the implication of that is that's his private bhajan chamber, implying do not think you can just rush and be there and enter there. If it's a private bhajan chamber of someone like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then we are to approach it in a very careful way, in the good sense of the term careful, not neurotic, not afraid, but just sensitive to what that is. So the confidentiality of his, the rahasyatva of it is established. But yeah, I will say that their generosity is already there and is trying to honor that generosity and build, hopefully, like we are trying these days to do, like not just starting, okay, Gaura-lila immediately, but okay, what's Gaura-lila, what's Mahaprabhu, what's Krishna-lila, what's Bhagavan, like building up. Like I said, Jiva Goswami does in his Sandarbhas, the Bhavatan builds up till 10th canto. There's always this building up in the service to the desired object of attainment, and becoming open to the grace that comes from that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that in, I think, Navadvip Bhavataranga, he says our adhikar comes from kripa, which is a very interesting way, because sometimes we think adhikar means something more that I earned through my, I qualify myself. No, sometimes we think I do this and that and I get the credits, the 108 points of adhikar per day or whatever. He say no, adhikar, you qualify yourself by grace, which is like, it sounds like a little bit like counterintuitive idea. Grace qualifies me. So that means that I have to do something? Yeah, still you have to do something, because grace is coming to qualify you, but you have to be present for that, open yourself to that grace. Like Srila Maharaj will say, Krishna is giving you everything on a golden plate, but you have to extend the hand to receive the gift. It sounds, it's nothing in one sense, but nobody can do it for you. So sometimes extending the hand, is so painful, so difficult, or you're asking too much from me. But the more you realize how much is coming on that golden plate, the more you contrast that and realize my extending the hand is nothing by comparison. So many times we feel the extending of the hand like too much, because we are not properly aware of what's coming, what's the actual gift that is coming to our hands. So sometimes gaining more awareness of the actual gift inspires us to make some necessary effort to extend the hand and trust the gift and the giver of the gift, right? So
many think grace is passive. Someone takes me to heaven, but the deeper it goes, this is the commentary of Srila Maharaj to this famous verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prema ras nirjas korite ashvadan raga marga bhakti loke korite prachan. So when little mercy is coming, there is little effort already increased, starting, like for the Yuga Dharma. But okay, let's chant. But the deeper the gift, the more active it has to be from the side of the receiver. So that the next level is not just the Yuga Dharma, the holy name, then it's Raga Marga Bhakti Loke. He wants to preach Raga Bhakti. This means orientation of the eternal beings. So there's much more active. But then when we go to Gaura-lila, then it's Prema Ras Nirajas. How Krishna really wants to taste what are the inner moods in Srimati Radhika's heart. This means it needs more activity from the side of the receiver, the Rahasya Moy. So when we enter such realms, it needs activities, and maybe I just felt this is a prayer circle. This is maybe the most active thing we can do. Not building huts and not chopping wood, but having really a prayer circle as a qualification for
Because especially in Gaura-lila, and we will be talking about that these days, but there is so much service necessity there. I mean, Krishna is in such a need. It's not like it's a joke for him. Oh, let's try to taste Radha Bhav. like some casual thing, like I will make a sandwich to myself or something. There's a desperation there. There's a very intense longing, and that's a very serious exploration. So he's in a very intense need, and that creates a very intense need in Radha as Gadadhar to allow that to happen. So it's a whole realm of intense loving necessity, and we are all invited to enter into that lila to tend to loves, to the necessities of love there. So it's serious stuff. Sometimes we may think, oh, I mean, beautiful, loving, deep, but serious. There's needs, urgent needs to be attended. Love creates, I mean, those are the actual urgent needs. That's the thing. No? Many times we think, as I think I put somewhere, many times we think we have so many necessities, but actually we lack love. Because when you learn to love, you realize which is the actual necessity. And so many of the other things we thought is so necessary, urgent, disappears. So many times we think, oh, I need all this. No, you lack this, love. When you have this, all this list probably. There's this one last final need. And prayojan in Sanskrit means also necessity. Not also a goal on attainment. Because one can think, oh, prem, when I attain the goal of prem, that's it. No, prem means necessity. So you attain
Increase
that, yeah, that creates a new necessity. Not apart from prem. Prem itself is the goal to attain, and it creates, is the ultimate necessity, and it creates its own necessity in the form of a deepening of love. So there's no end to that. That's why Lila keeps going on forever, and it never gets boring. Going back to the adventure. Lila as a field of adventures we were talking yesterday. Okay. Something else you may like to share? If not, we may put the sharing to rest, and in the evening we have space for questions, explorations, and topics related to the morning or to any other topics as well you may like to share. It's open. And some meditation in the evening as well.
Still something.
Yeah, it's a raised hand, that? Okay. It's it's fine. You have to give it. It's not too lazy. The gift is waiting.
No, not to take Radha. It's not just making its own sandwich, but it's a really desperation in bone. And this creates in Radha as Gadadhar a great necessity.
Oh, she takes notes so quickly. You wrote down everything. Yes.
So much. Comes also to Gadadhar's moods.
Yeah.
What is this necessity in Gadadhar? What does he exactly feel? Is it? It must be something like service, a necessity, or some more intense service, right?
Yeah. You want me to spoil what we will be talking during the whole week? That's good. And in order to keep you there, I won't give you any answers so far. Only will. My pleasure. Yeah, that's a way of replying, not replying, and keeping the flame of longing and curiosity open. Yeah, and we will be talking about that basically all the lectures that we will have from tomorrow on. So it's not just, I'm not replying because I don't want to limit to address your question just by one reply, but we'll be the whole week trying to explore what's that service disposition in Gadadhar Pandit, what's the necessity in her heart in connection to witnessing Krishna's necessity as Mahaprabhu. So there's, whatever we'll say from tomorrow onward will be a reply to your question, basically. Yeah. Okay. So shall we put the sharing to rest? Is there anything else? Are you ready to chop wood and make a cabin now? Are you desperate for something practical? Sorry?
We lost the inspiration.
There won't
Build
be
the cabin.
any food tonight. Sorry, I'm not gonna cook.
That's it's too practical. Cooking is too practical. Yeah. Like when Pariksit Maharaj had his 7 days to live, and he at one point he was asked, "Do you want to drink something, eat something?" He was, "What do you mean? I'm having a feast, non-stop feast by listening to Sukadev Goswami, right?" Okay. Well, so we will meet in a few hours again, and we have some time now for internalizing and processing, because again, all these things also are to be contemplated deeply, whether personally in exchange and churning with like-minded, like-hearted spirits like all of you. That's why we are here also, to continue the sharing in all the forms it needs to take. Shri Shri Gaur Gadadhar Ji ki jai, Sriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Gadadhar Pandit ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ji ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Shri Ananda Dham ki jai, Ananda Dham Vasis ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premananda Hi Bol. Vanchakalpatarubhya Sagar Sindhubhya Vachapati Tanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo.